Okay. Well, I actually remembered to start recording. That's an amazing thing for me because most of the time I end up at the end. It's like, oh, damn, forgot that. So, Andrew, how are you guys doing?
We're
Busy?
doing well. Yeah, it's busy for sure. It's been kind of ups and downs and everything, but we're it's busy now, so we'll take it.
So, you're going to tell us anything about your newer tapes or what things you have in the pipeline or?
One thing with COVID that's kind of worked out well for us. It seems like people have kind of taken another look at their processes, and when things are slow, they'll notice things that aren't quite right. And then when it picks back up, then it's like, oh, wow, we really need to fix that because we don't have time to mess with that anymore. And we've seen a pretty big increase in sample requests and people interested in the screen tapes and the dual tack pallet tape. So it's somehow word is kind of spreading, which is awesome,
Yeah.
even despite trade shows or anything. So it's been kind of the bright side of it is that it's been a good chance for people to look at what they're doing and potentially new products to help improve it. So it's worked out.
I've got a couple of guys that are going to probably view this because Sri Lanka is 11 and a half hours different and Bangladesh is 12 hours different and Pakistan, I think, is 10 hours. And so they've decided that they really want to get some sleep in instead of watching this, but they'll be able to catch it on my website. So anything that you can explain or talk to them about, which and the rest of us would certainly be a positive thing. I know
Yeah, for
Sean is
sure.
certainly interested in figuring out how to tape up his water-based screens and keep them from falling apart.
Yeah, as far as the screen tape goes, the split tape for the most part works well with water-based inks. One thing that is a little secret that a lot of people don't really know about, and Charlie, I think you told us this a while back. A lot of times people will tape both sides of the screens, thinking that more tape is better. And they'll mask out the screen like normal. And then if you're doing a water-based ink, you might think, oh, well, I should put tape on the bottom too, to just add another layer of protection. And what that does is it actually traps the ink between the two layers of tape. And that moisture causes both tapes to not stick very well. So by putting tape on either the top side or the bottom side, it actually works a lot better than putting two layers of tape on there. So that's really helped with water-based inks.
Oh,
Yeah. And
I think Sean you were definitely putting him on both sides, weren't you?
We were having issues with I don't know how it was like almost filtering it out. So instead of the color of the discharge we were printing, it was coming out as a clear discharge when it would hit the shirt. So I don't know if it was filtering through some smaller cracks or issues in the emulsion, but we would put, or where it was getting stressed, let's just say the sides of the pallets when it came up to the screen, or where the squeegees would run, we'd put a piece of tape under that halfway to make sure that we're maybe enhancing that, but it's only the tape on the one side. No, it may be on the top side too, now that I think about it. And then we'd also put it where the squeegee would hit front and back, or the flood.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just to help prevent the stress on the emulsion.
Yeah, and
okay.
Honestly, we stopped doing that when we got that sample of that clear tape, that
cool.
high adhesive clear tape.
Yeah, the high tack
that
split
that
tape.
worked really well.
Good.
That's eliminated
awesome.
a lot of issues.
Good. That's great to hear. Yeah, we've got that high tack version as kind of an alternative if the regular split tape isn't quite doing the trick. For the most part, 95% of the people are able to get away with the split tape, just the regular white one. But if you need a little bit extra tack, we've got that high tack clear one. So that's awesome that worked well.
I've never had any issues with just the regular split tape.
You are?
Awesome.
I said I haven't had any issues like that with the
Okay.
split tape.
Yeah, and you're using it for water base.
Well, no, just plastisol. I don't use it for water based. Maybe that's the thing.
That's the
too.
big difference, because if the plastisol never had any issues, it's just a single strip there. But with water base, it has a tendency to get a little messier.
To say
What
the
type of what tape are you using for water based?
Me?
Oh, I'm not doing any water based prints.
Gotcha. Okay.
then that resolves that issue, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
So I do have a
Yeah.
question for you, Andrew.
Mhm.
On your two-sided pallet tape,
Yep.
you've got the regular adhesive and the high-tack adhesive. The high-tack is supposed to be used for polyester garments or something like that?
You know, it's funny. We actually started just recommending the high tack to everybody. So whenever we send out a sample, we just by default send the high tack version. Originally, we started with the standard 380 version, and that was mostly tested with just cotton t-shirts, and it worked great for that. But when it came to polyesters and blends, it stuck, but not as well as it should. So we put together the high-tack version, and that worked great with polyesters. And originally we had kind of set aside, all right, you can use the high-tack if you're printing polyesters and the regular for cotton t-shirts. But a lot of people just started printing cotton t-shirts on the high-tack as well. Our thought was that the lint would build up faster since it's more aggressive, but the lint actually doesn't build up any faster than the standard version. We did a side-by-side test, put on one pallet half the standard 380 and the other half of the pallet was the high-tack 382, and they both collected lint at the same rate. So since then, we've really just started recommending the 382 high-tack version to everybody. And honestly, if we had to start over again, we probably would have just only introduced the 382 high-tack version. But since we already have the 380 going and some people loving that, we don't want to just change that and increase the adhesion, because there are some people that need the lower tack. And so
what do you recommend? Because we're having to basically switch out the tape when we go to sweatshirts with the high fleece. Is that just what we're going to have to do? Because
you know, generally with high fleece garments, we tell people if you're used to reapplying adhesive like every 5th hoodie, for example, or maybe 12th hoodie, instead of reapplying adhesive every 12th, you would just wipe off the lint every 12th garment. So it's the same interval, but just that different process.
got it.
Now, if you get towards the end of a really large run of hoodies, I know what you're talking about. It kind of loses its tack after a while. So some people will actually put adhesive on top of the dual tack pallet tape,
Right.
just to help like get through that shift. And then at the beginning of the next day, they'll replace the tape with a fresh one. But I've seen a lot of people do that. And I know originally they're kind of afraid, is it going to transfer onto the hoodies or the t-shirts if I put adhesive on top of the dual tack pallet tape? But it actually sticks really well to the dual tack pallet tape. The only downside to that is that once you put adhesive on top of the tape, you can't go back to the original tape. At that point, you're kind of stuck with adhesive on top of there. But it works to kind of get through the rest of the day.
Good.
Yeah.
Sweatshirts are definitely the Achilles heel for every shop that's doing, especially at this time of the year. I mean, it's just a mess because you're especially on. I mean, I don't even know if I'd put a sweatshirt on the first round when you just put on the tape, because it's so aggressive at that point that it really does pull a lot of the fleece out.
Yeah, exactly.
Even getting a cotton shirt off of it is brutal.
Yeah, that first one or two, it almost takes, you have to put a t-shirt on there just to kind of soften it and get it to the normal consistency.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could do an even higher tack for sweatshirts. But when we looked at that, it just pulls the lint off faster. And, you know, it works great for the first 10, but then it just grabbed off so much lint, and then it's too aggressive to wipe the lint off. So it wasn't really much of an improvement with the higher tack version. So we've kind of stuck with the standard 380 and the 382 high tack as the two options. We do have a medium tack, a 381, but that's only for really specific needs. Like if someone's using the automatic unloader on an M&R, you know, if the 382 isn't allowing it to pull the shirt off the pallet and the 380 is not holding well enough, we've got the medium tack for that. But we don't really recommend that right off the bat because it's so niche. But if someone has a need for it, then we have it.
Charles, you going to see a banker or something today? You're all dressed up.
No, I'm in the office today, unfortunately.
Oh, I thought maybe, you know, dressed up. It was banker day and who knows? Okay.
You don't have those days anymore, Charlie, where you actually go in to see the banker.
That's very true. You just call them or you Zoom them.
Yeah, our banks here, you walk into the bank and it's like completely empty. They don't even have furniture anymore. It's just an empty building now. Nobody works there.
The bank I go to, I mean, I was in there about a week and a half ago and one other person showed up while I was there, which was kind of startling. But I mean, you know, now when you can make deposits over using your phone and stuff, the only time I really have to go to the bank is if the deposit is more than they'll allow, which unfortunately doesn't happen often enough. I wish it did. Kind of like, really? Okay. But yeah, it's interesting. So I don't know. I did my first consulting job in 7 months last week. That was one of those wonderful moments of, God, I feel tired at the end of the day. What a good feeling. But came home.
Where'd you go?
I worked with a client in, Ohio, in Millersburg, which is, actually I stayed in Berlin, which is Dutch country. I had no idea that they had that much in the way of the Amish people there. But that was great. Food was fantastic. If only the Amish would decide to wear masks, it would definitely help. But then again, if you're on a horse and buggy, I guess it doesn't make that much difference to you one way or the other. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I'm looking forward to going back there again. But came home and we were supposed to get a snowstorm. And so got home on Friday, supposed to start Friday night, a little bit of rain. You know, and everybody is thinking, nah, it ain't going to happen. 2 feet of snow later. I mean, it was
Wow.
Crazy. It's crazy. The amount of snow I have in my yard now is just amazing. My dog doesn't even know. I have a golden retriever. She doesn't know what the hell to do with it. She steps into it and it's up to her shoulder, and it's like, this is not good. Can't chase rabbits this way. But
yeah,
that one's over, and a new one is starting tonight. Another snowstorm, and then 2 more next week. I mean, it's kind of like, wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, March and April are really the snowiest months in Colorado, which is what most people don't realize. But March snows, I hate them because they're on the wetter side. May is the worst. May is the get out at 3 a.m. and shake the trees, or otherwise you're going to have branches all over the place. No. So I worked with this client last week and I showed him, I had you send me some samples. And what was interesting, I was trying to put on those samples using your double-sided tape with, I watched Charles' video on putting on pallet tape, which I thought was terrific, by the way. So that was really good, with the corners folded in, and you know, the front and back, and then the corners folded in. Tried it with double-sided tape, not the way to go.
Yeah, No, it
Too aggressive and
unfortunately
it curled
folding back.
off.
Yeah,
So then we
exactly.
just trimmed around into the pallet and that was great. But certain things work for one type of situation. They don't work for every situation. But I did like the
Yeah.
way you did the pallet peel. I thought that was really a very positive way of doing it versus what most people do, which is trim around the edge and it starts to peel at the corners.
Right.
And so I haven't had a chance to play with your technique yet, but I thought it was really good. Andrew, are you guys coming out with any other new tapes or any other approaches?
The R&D department has been kind of quiet.
Okay.
But no, we're just pushing the dual tack pallet tape. We really try to stick with products that are different and unique and not a Me Too product.
Yeah.
So we're not doing a standard paper pallet tape. Then it just becomes down to price.
Yeah. No, I understand that certainly.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited about the double-sided pallet tape, and really spreading the word on that. But yeah, as far as new products, we don't have anything coming up in the pipeline, nothing major. I mean, there's always variations of the products that we have. But yeah, if you think of anything, let me know.
Well, I mean, so the company I worked with I had to send some registration tape,
Mhm.
and they had a registration tape, which we tried out, and the one that they have has kind of a texture on top, which I found not so wonderful. I don't know who they're getting it from, but in order to clean it off, you actually had to use solvent on your rag as opposed to a dry rag, which I
Yeah.
found kind of an interesting situation. I much prefer a dry rag. I don't think you run into as much of an issue. It's also smoother. But it's the first time I saw somebody else have some kind of a registration tape.
Yeah, if it's rough like that, it sounds like it might be a clear application tape that they're using.
And it could
I know what you're talking about with that rougher surface,
Yeah.
kind of that matte finish.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure if
Yeah,
it
that's-
actually does. Huh?
That seems more like what we'd use for vinyl application
Yeah.
as a
and I
transfer
would say
tape.
that- Yeah, that's probably what it was. Because it had kind of a slightly, I want to call it a yellowish tan tinge to it versus a clear look to it.
Mhm.
And they do vinyl there. So I'm assuming that's where it came from, although it was sold to them as a registration tape. So somebody obviously decided to do that. I mean, there are plenty of things that you can do to register a job. When we used to use cameras, we would use our film periodically for that.
It was
Really?
probably a clear mask that they use for sign making.
Okay.
It has a sort of a frosted look to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that would not be working well.
well, it worked, but I'm a fan of trying to work with a dry rag versus using a solvent on it because solvent starts to get around and it just makes more of a mess. It takes longer to clean up the sheet than a
Yeah.
dry rag.
Just an extra step using a solvent.
Yeah, I mean, solvent just didn't do it. I mean, when you first go back, everybody was using 3-inch clear packaging tape. And certainly it works, but again, you need a dry rag. And the time it takes to put that on was less than adequate. Charles, what I did find when I put on Andrew's tape, used your technique of using a spatula or a spreader from the center out. And that worked almost dead perfect, even on that tape,
Awesome.
as opposed to having bubbles and using the roller tape over it and stuff. And the guy I was working with, of course, was accustomed to using pallet peel, so he put it on too many bubbles. When I had him go over to using a spatula or actually a spreader and go from the center out and work his way up, almost dead on the money. And
Yeah, makes a big
bubbles that were-
difference.
Oh, it made a huge difference. because sitting around and trying to pop little bubbles, you're
Yeah.
sitting there with an X-Acto knife forever trying to squeeze them out. And so I did pay attention to what you actually did. I mean, everybody thinks, oh, you know, the feedback I get is, oh yeah, he must know everything. Bullshit. I mean, what I tell people is when I go into a shop, I try to steal any ideas that they have that I can pass on later on. And I thought what you put together was really, really good.
Wow, thank you, Charlie. I appreciate that. I'm glad it helped you out too.
But I'm always looking. Look, my job is to pass on information, and so whatever I can steal from someone else, I have no qualms about it. But I will give the other person the. I'll certainly acknowledge the other person and where I got the information from. I don't want anyone to think that I sit around at night trying to come up with ideas on how to make things better. Not that I don't, but if I see something else that really works well, I'll give credit to the person that I stole it from. I have no problem with that at all. And I think that's one of the things in this industry. Too many people, especially some of us old timers, try to take credit for some of the things that are out there. The only thing I want credit for is the things that I actually did. Other than that, I have no problem passing it on.
Hey
Yeah, well,
guys,
that's a good outlook.
I just start with sorry, no video this time.
I know, yeah, but Gosta, we know who you are,
Yeah.
which is a good
So,
thing.
Andrew, do you have any other channels to sell your tape, or you're sticking to US?
No, we sell all throughout the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody
We
in-
sell through distributors, but we work with distributors in most countries.
Ghost is in Sweden.
Yeah. Trying to remember at least who's near Sweden. Let me pull up.
Well, you have Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Russia,
Yeah.
whatever that's
Let's see
worth.
who we've got. So in Sweden, we've got Club Shop. Do you work with them?
Club shop. Okay.
Uh-huh. Yep. They stock our tape. And in Norway, we have Schneidler.
I worked with them years ago. That's kind of funny. My biggest account when I owned a supply house, which is kind of funny, was in Norway. Everybody says, what are you doing with the big account in Norway? They would buy ink twice a year from us, and they would just buy a massive amount.
Did you say you owned a supply shop?
I
Or
did.
Supply
I
warehouse?
I
Okay.
had a supply house from 1983 or 1982, somewhere around 83 to 95.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, it was called Bullseye Screen Printing Supplies.
Okay.
And I'm writing about it in my book right now. Short excerpts on what I did, where I was, et cetera, in the industry. So moving along on that, and also still working on my technical book, which I think is about done. I need to just get some good photos into it and some other bits and pieces. But the other book is becoming more interesting because trying to remember some of the old time stuff is difficult. But once you get on a roll, it seems to just keep coming together.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize you were writing a book too, or 2 books.
Yeah, well, welcome to the coronavirus and things that
Yeah.
we never expected to do, we end up doing. But I've written so many articles that I just kind of positioned them into a book. So I'm breaking it down by chapters now.
Nice.
And going through trying to clean up some of the photos. I mean, some of them, they're old and there's nothing I can do about those. And some of the situations are kind of fun. How to build your own print tables, which in the US, no one does. Overseas, everyone does. But yeah,
You go into the bootlegging t-shirts at concerts?
I have those in the book as well, and
Good.
a number of photos, and didn't really discuss too many of those situations. They were worth talking
Hate to put it in
about.
writing.
It
Yeah.
was more fun to show the shirts than to discuss what went on in the bootlegging world. But
Yeah.
talked about my ex-partner who was the first one to go to jail for it, which was
Wow.
yeah, which was not very much of a hardship on him. It was on me. I had to run the place while he was in prison, running 5 miles a day and playing tennis on Sundays. And sometimes they locked the door. 2 months, July and August, and his mother never even knew that he was gone.
Wow.
But he came back in the best shape of his life. I don't think he's ever seen it since then, but the way it goes. But hopefully that book will be on the interesting side. Nothing technical about it, just tales of what went on back in the earlier days, starting with my visit into the industry in '76.
Yeah, that would be awesome to read. When do you think you'll have it wrapped up? Or
it's going to take me months and months. I mean,
yeah,
love to have it quickly.
Talked about it. Yeah,
Huh?
you talked about it months and months. So we waiting for the book now.
Well, what I talked about was the technical side, and I wasn't going to do the other one. I was just going to use little couple of paragraphs at the beginning of a chapter, and those paragraphs got longer and longer to the point of I'm going to have a 400-page book if I don't shut up. So, and I don't think
I'll
anybody
buy it.
wants to buy that.
I'll buy that.
But I will have my technical book. So here's a question for all of you. If I put out a technical book, should it be a hardcover? I mean, not a hard, like a spiral bound, or should it be online?
can you do both?
Yeah, do both.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I personally like paper in my hand,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking that a spiral bound is definitely the way to go because you can open it and actually leave it open as opposed to a hard bound where it wants to close on you.
I would make it actually a print version. I mean, you could also do it online, but I think that'd be pretty neat.
Well, I like the idea of a print version. So another question, what would somebody pay for something like that? I mean, I know like Dane's books ran between $80 and $100 a book on all of his artwork books.
Yeah, I would say
think-
you could probably charge $100 for that easily.
Okay.
Totally.
I wouldn't go above that. I was actually thinking somewhere around the $75 to $80 range.
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic, Charlie. I mean, that's
I wanted
the
to
knowledge I'm sure you have in there as well.
Yeah.
Well worth it, you know.
And anyone that's buying it knows you or knows of you. And, if it's $30 versus $90, would have no issue spending an extra $60 and pay $90.
The only thing so I have one of Scott Fresner's encyclopedias of screen printing. Have any of you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's literally that big. I have it in my office. It's got to be 3 inches wide. And I think when it came out, it was probably a couple $100. And it was out for a very short period of time because nobody really wanted to spend. And of course, I'm going way back as well. Nobody really wanted to spend that much money, even though it was really well put together. So, I'm figuring if I do this, I really don't want to be in a position where someone says, oh, that's too much money.
I think if you're in the $80 to $90 range, no one would say that.
Yeah, I think that's about where I'm going to
Yeah.
keep it. Because I know I have Michel Casa's book, and I don't know if you guys have that at all, but it's his 55 years of being in the screen print industry. And it's predominantly based on all the artists that he worked with over the years. And he worked with, when I went to his place many years back, on the back wall were Salvador Dali prints with thumbtacks through them. And I'm thinking, really?
Oh my gosh.
And then when he opened the drawers, it was like, oh, I mean, literally millions of dollars worth of prints that he owns. And
I didn't know that he had a book. I'm gonna have to look for it.
oh, it's fantastic. If are you on? Are you friends on his?
Yeah, I'm on his friends and Michelle Caza page.
Right. Just tell him that you're interested in his book. He has a French version and an English version. You want the English? It runs about $200. It's amazing, especially when you go through and see the artists that he's worked with. Um, Many of the top artists in the world, and what was cool when I went to his place, I remember it was a Monday, and came in with a friend of mine from England, and there were like handful of people working, and I'm thinking, wow, they have the same issues in France as we do in the US. Nobody shows up on Monday. And his comment was, no, no, this is it. This is all that there are. And they were cranking away. And there was a young lady was working on a print by Leonor Frini. I don't know if you're into the surrealist movement or anything of that nature, but Leonor Frini is a well-known surrealist painter from back in the days of Dali and the rest of them. And so she was working on a particular print and went up to Kaza and said, you know, I'm having a problem with this. And so one of the things in the US, when somebody comes to us and said they have a problem, we turn around and tell them exactly what to do without really explaining why you're doing it in a particular way. And so I watched him go with her, and he said he went and got the painting. A painting is probably $250,000 right now, but he went and got the painting and put it down. And she took one of the prints and put it next to it. And that's when he turned to her and said, "So what do you think you have to do?" And she said something like, "I think I have to adjust the yellow or whatever." And he said, "Oh, well, okay, go ahead and do it." Never trying to correct her, never trying to tell her what to do, but making her think about what she should do. And that's one of the things about working with him. He was always big in having apprenticeships, where in the US we're so bent on getting it out the door that we forget to try to teach the people that we're working with how to think. And I thought that was pretty cool. Of course, I went back to my shop and told people what to do anyway. No, I didn't. But I think the whole idea of apprenticeship. I mean, when I had my supply house, I was on the advisory panel for Clemson, and Clemson had a wonderful program, but it was 5 years long versus 4 because you had to spend a year in the field actually doing it as part of the program. And so we had one of the young ladies work for us for half the year, and she was extremely helpful. I think that's the biggest thing about school is getting you to think, and the program at Clemson was fantastic. I don't know where it is today. I mean, I'm going back too many years, but to me, I think that's one of the nice things. I know I'm supposed to judge the student competition that's coming up through Printing United. And I think that's one of the things is teaching them some of the things to look for, but also making them think about how to get around situations that are presented to them. You know, unfortunately, having someone that just jumps on a press and grinds it out all day, we certainly need some of that, but what we really need is somebody who can actually look at it and think about it and maybe find a better way of doing it that may be more profitable, for one thing, which is certainly part of it. But if you ever get the chance to sit and chat with Kaza, he's an amazing guy. When I owned my supply house, in order to get him to come out here, I said, you know, Michelle, what's it going to take for you to come there? I said, make sure there's a good bottle of French wine on the podium. And this way I won't go dry when I'm speaking. but he used to stay at my house. So I had a crazy dog that hated everyone and loved him. It would sit in front of his bedroom door waiting for him to open the door. Anyway, so Charles, what are your plans? I mean, I know you're still cranking away. So what are you going to do with all your videos? Are you going to put them into a situation where you can package them and sell them?
No, I wasn't not really thinking about that, but just trying to give a little bit of knowledge, education to people. You know, you see, as you know, you just see so much bad information out on the forums and stuff that I just you know, want to put out the good information from stuff that I learned, like from you or others that have been around forever, you know, Richard Greaves and Marshall, stuff like that, and just experience of really things that should be like pretty common knowledge so far, what I've done it on, but people have no clue,
I know.
you know, so.
When I do my workshops and seminars, one of the things I discourage people from doing is watching YouTube unless they know who that person is, because there's so much bad information out there. And
Yeah, it's terrible.
you know, when someone is new, I mean, they're trying to watch everything, which I think is a huge mistake. If you don't know who the person is that's doing the presentation, don't watch it, because there's a good chance it's bad information.
Yeah,
point.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that.
I mean, unfortunately, I've gotten to the point now where I don't even respond to a lot of what's online. And if I do it, it's just on a personal level. Otherwise, you end up in a pissing match with people who really think they know what they're talking about. And in the end, really have no clue. And I watch bad information being presented all the time. And it's kind of like, well, why don't you go out there and correct them? It's like, you can't correct them. They don't want to hear about it. They are totally convinced that what they're doing is the way to go. And it's like, yep, okay, leave it alone.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I just like a week ago, I had seen on one of the Facebook groups, a guy was like arguing with Kudre, and I was like,
That's a bad
you're arguing with one of the greatest minds in screen printing, you know, like you should maybe take his advice instead. You know who you're talking to. You know, that's the thing.
I agree. And that's one of the reasons there was a time that I posted a number, you know, quite a bit. And over the years, I've just drifted away from it. I just don't want to get into these long tit for tat situations with somebody who swears they know what they're doing because, hey, they've been doing this for about 2 or 3 years now. And yeah, I've only been doing this for 45. Why would I know anything?
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So anyways,
sorry.
That's all. Just wanting to do something that will hopefully help people here and there, you know.
No,
and I, like you said, I don't know everything, that's for damn sure, but I try to learn every day, and you know, I'm not going to put out anything that's not verified and tested for years and years by the legends like you know, so
well,
that's kind of my goal.
Listen, I don't know everything either, and I can tell you for a fact that I've made plenty of mistakes over the years. The only thing I promise myself and everyone that I work with, I will never lie to you. If I don't know, I'm just going to tell you I don't know. I might try and make some suggestions, but that's that. Andrew, you guys going to do any videos on what you put out there?
You know, yeah, we do. We've got a like 30-second to a minute video on each product on our website, just kind of short and sweet, that says what everything is. So if you go on our website, you can click on a product and see just a quick little video explanation of it. But yeah, we put together new videos and everything. It's tough to come up with a whole lot of new content on the products, and you know, it's interesting and everything. So we've spent some time putting together those videos on each one, and yeah.
Okay. I have to admit, you know, I've never gone on your website. I have
Yeah, that's
no idea
okay.
why
Yeah.
not? But I have it. It's kind of like, well, I know this stuff. I mean, you know, at the same time, it's something that I probably should do just so that I can get a better rundown on where you are and what's going on.
Yeah.
Andrew, what do you guys see as far as the shows coming up? What do you think that the next when do you think it's going to start happening again, or do you think it's going to be the same as it was?
I don't know. You know, I figured Long Beach in April was not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one kind of saw that coming, but
You've already
it's just hard to
filled that.
picture. It's hard to picture that environment these days with so many people from all over the world getting together and shaking hands. And I mean, now there's so much tracing going on and anything, and so much isolation. It's like, if, you know, one person comes with COVID to the trade show, it's like, all right, they shook 300 hands, and then those people shook 300 hands, and it's like, all right, the whole place is exposed. It's just hard to picture that. I really hope it happens. Hopefully when the vaccine gets around and enough people, yeah, like you, Charlie, have been vaccinated, that can all start up again. I miss it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, that's why I was able to do my consulting work last week. After I got my second shot, it was like, they say it's about 2 to 3 weeks before it fully takes. And I was 2.5 weeks out of it, so that was great. I know the next show that I know of is the one in Atlantic City, and that's in August. They killed the Long Beach show for this
Yeah.
year, which made sense because the closer they were coming to next year's January, didn't make it, you know, they would have killed that show for themselves.
That's true. Yeah.
But they still have Atlantic City and Fort Worth, and then FESPA is still on, and it's the week before the Printing United show.
That's right. Yep.
And that one's
yeah, that's right. And if it stays that way, we won't be able to do FESPA. We have one trade show exhibit, and so we kind of have to pick one or the other in that case.
well, and certainly
So
right now, I don't think Europe is allowing us to get over there anyway. So,
yeah,
I mean, I love doing the FESPA shows, and Amsterdam is definitely an interesting city to go. Excuse me, to go to. Of course, we have enough legal pot in this country now where
yeah,
Amsterdam isn't quite the
draw.
situation
Yeah,
anymore. Although it's still far more interesting there than it is here. But you know, Printing United certainly makes more sense for an American company.
yeah.
And I have no idea how many foreign companies are going to come to Printing United versus going to FESPA. But it'll be an interesting thing. And of course, I don't think anybody is looking for massive shows this time. But I noticed.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they restart shows.
Well, they've already started some small shows. I mean, not in our industry, but I noticed a couple of people had posted that they did a show in Kansas City. They did another one, I forget where, Iowa, I think. A lot of elbow bumps and fist bumps, but you know, masks are definitely part of it, and trying to keep away from major crowds. And I think these were
Yeah,
small enough shows where there was 2,000 or 3,000 people that showed up total. So that's really not that much of an issue. I know I do the DAX show, and I'm not sure what they have coming up. I know their show sat on top of the quote unquote the Long Beach show. So I had to commit to Long Beach, and of course that's gone. So I don't know what they're going to do. But I'm anxious for the first show to hit just to see how things do get put together.
I know.
It'll be interesting. And of course, depending on which state you're in, You could be, I mean, California is definitely not the place to be at the moment. Texas, Fort Worth, that's going to be interesting with all this stuff going on in Texas. I'm not sure it's a wonderful situation, although the governor there has opened all restaurants, all bars. Masks are not necessary, and they are not. They're allowing restaurants to work at 100% capacity. And my daughter lives down there, and she is not happy about it.
Oh, really?
The last place she went to, she had to go to an outlet place, and everyone had masks on, even though they're not mandatory. Personally, I don't think wearing a mask is that big a deal if it's going to keep you a little safer.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if it makes other people comfortable, it's no big deal to wear it.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see when the first show in our industry actually hits and how that comes together and who's exhibiting and how they handle it.
I know. We were supposed to do FESPA in Spain.
Yeah.
And they pushed that show back. So we found storage for our crate that has all of our trade show stuff in it, and had that stored for a while in Madrid, and then they canceled it and had to send it on back. And that was a shame, but
yeah. Well, I mean, if you had your stuff overseas, I'd tell you to consider some of the other shows that are coming up there. CTCO or C-Print. And they do that show in Barcelona every Barcelona. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it's in Barcelona. No, I think it's Madrid every year.
okay. Yeah.
And I used to do that one for them. Of course, right now nobody knows what's going on, but their show is really quite good. It's a combination of ad specialty and of print, and so they cross both sides over. I'm not sure if it's the strongest show for you. They do that when they do the one in Lyon, France. That one's worth going to, even if you don't exhibit, because the food is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to take
Yeah.
advantage of where you are and what's going on. So
Exactly.
I did that for 9 or 10 years, and I have to admit, I prefer Lyon over Paris.
Those
Food
frog
was better
legs
and less
snails.
money, huh?
Frog legs and snails. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, and
No, it's good. It's really good.
And goose liver pate. I mean,
Yeah, it's great.
I love it. Oh, and I should be concerned about the geese. Nope, sorry.
Oh, nope.
Animals,
Definitely
yes. Geese, not so much.
Yep.
Anyway,
They have really good food, but not the big portions, though.
no, but very rich. I mean, the foie gras there, especially the hot foie gras, doesn't have to be very big. It's just so wonderful. In any event, I think we're doing okay. I think we're out of the, I don't know if you guys want to continue or not, but certainly it was a pleasure having you on. Hopefully we get plenty of feedback. I've got, like I said, I have three different distributors that are looking at your product, and
Awesome.
we'll see what happens. Do you have anybody in those countries, in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, or Pakistan?
We do. There's Whitco in Sri Lanka. You make sure I pronounce it right.
It wouldn't matter. I wouldn't get it right anyway.
It is Wakumbara Industrial Technology, or Whitco.
Okay.
But they bring in the dual tech pallet tape pretty regularly. Yeah.
I was going to say, for those countries, the pallet tape would be it, because they wouldn't spend the money on the split tape.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one thing that's so fun about the new pallet tape. With the screen tapes, if it's $8 to $10 per roll, and if labor is, so cheap, then you might as well use a low cost packing tape and then spend the time scraping off the adhesive.
Yeah.
So in areas where labor is less expensive, the screen tapes never really made sense. But with the dual tech pallet tape, it makes sense no matter what the labor price is.
Correct.
So we've got yeah, Sri Lanka, Africa, there's China, all over. It's been fun.
So do you go and have you gone to visit any of them?
Not yet, but
What are you
once
waiting
once I
Sri Lanka is
can.
really- I love going to Sri Lanka.
Never been.
Traffic is a bit on the crazy side. Nothing like
Yeah.
Bangladesh. Bangladesh is the worst when it comes to that. But I haven't had a chance to go up into the hills of Sri Lanka and stuff. But there's some really, really wonderful places to go to. And next time I get there, I think I'll make some time for it. But I enjoy going there. People are very nice. Still third world, but not quite as third world as some other places that I've been to.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I'd love to check it out. Just can't wait until we can start traveling again
Yeah, I think,
overseas.
I think it
Yeah.
only took me 40 hours to get there.
It's not too bad.
Well, you could do it in 30 hours if you wanted to spend an extra $1,500 in airfare. And it was like, you know what, for $1,500, I'll spend the 10 hours in London. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'd jump out,
Have a beer there and
well,
yeah.
some friends in London, etc., and then head back. Or if I got there in the evening, take a hotel room and then jump back in the morning. But
Exactly.
it is a long trip.
Yeah. Furthest I've been was Tokyo.
And from Denver,
was-
we have a direct flight.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
think
we flew direct from Chicago.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah, I used to do that also, but now they have direct Denver to Tokyo.
that's amazing. Wow.
Love going to Japan.
Yeah, yeah, that was one of my favorite places. My brother isn't in the screen print industry or anything or in our family business, but he started out right out of college doing consulting work for Accenture, doing medical record software consulting, and lived in Chicago. And every Monday would get up at 3:30, 4 a.m. and fly to California and stay there and then fly back Thursday night and then work from Chicago Friday and do that every week. And he did that for like 4 years straight. So he built up so many airline miles and hotel points. When I graduated college, his gift to me, he took both of us out to Tokyo for a week.
Nice.
And put us up in first class because he had all the points and everything. So it was a blast.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't give me first class. I did have lots of points. That's why I take my wife and daughter on holiday every year. Other than this past one, we actually had to cancel. We were supposed to go to South Africa and go on safari, and that went down to
I
two.
remember you mentioning that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's too bad. That
Well, I do a show in South Africa, and hopefully that'll come together again. But right now, that's an area not to go to.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think I'm at coming up to the 2 million mile mark with United now, and I think I'm at 750,000 with what's it, American Airlines, and not that it gets you a whole lot of anything, but oh well.
Yeah, I could see the
It's a
South
lot
Africa.
of traveling,
Yeah.
Charlie.
Well, trying to get to 100 countries, and I finally did a count. I think I'm at 60 right now, of which I've
What's next on the list?
right now I would take anything in the U.S. But I've done every state in the union a long time ago, plus Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands. Where I'd like to go, I really want to try and get my family to come with me to Indonesia. I think that country is just great. Of course, everybody goes to Bali, which is probably where we'd end up, but Jakarta is wonderful. And I did a show in a small town there called Solo. And tree-lined streets, flower-lined streets. I mean, you know, really, really nice. And the countryside was amazing. We took a train out from Jakarta to Bandung, about a 4-hour train ride, and the countryside was spectacular with tiered hills where they were growing all of their crops and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Well,
But what I haven't done is enough of the old communist countries. So got to think about Romania and Slovenia and Slovakia and the rest of those. May have to try and work something in there. But I think my family would jump all over going to anything warm at the moment, especially with 2 feet of
Yeah.
snow sitting on the ground.
I was trying to invite you to northern Sweden, some ice fishing and live in the ice hotel.
So my wife is wanting to go there desperately to see the northern lights.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
northern Sweden or Iceland. We've been to Sweden, of course, and we've been to Finland and all of that. Haven't been to Iceland yet, but we were talking about the ice hotel, and I think that would be great. I'll have to speak to you about that once we're actually able to travel.
Yep.
How
Set it up.
far are you from the ice hotel?
It's far, but
Yeah, it's all the way
I'll
north.
fix that. I'll fix that transportation and everything if you come here. No problem.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll fix
I
that.
may have to take you up on it.
I've been living in this country all my life, so I have connections.
I would imagine you do, and you know what? I have no problem asking you to help out.
No.
When my daughter was young, we used to send her overseas to friends in the industry. So she'd spend some time in London, spend some time in France. I think it's great when we've had friends come over here from overseas, which has always been a really nice thing to do. And we've stayed with them over in Europe as well. So it's been a great industry for that. I mean, it's always nice to make connections everywhere.
Yep.
But I'll definitely take you up on that. As soon as I get off of this, I'm going to let my wife know that
we're going to Sweden.
you have connections, and well, the good thing is wouldn't go there until wintertime because the whole thing is to see the northern lights.
Yep.
And so wintertime is it. Best time of the year for going there for that is when?
It depends a little on if the tourist season are going to come on again and so on. But it needs to be, let's say, just after New Year, because then it's cold enough. Not before.
January, February.
Yeah, it would be the best.
Well, I do a show, if it goes off, every January in Dusseldorf, Germany.
Okay.
So to jump from there over is no big deal.
No, because you're on the right side of the pond.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the PSI show in Dusseldorf, which is good.
Yep.
So I will
see to fix all the details, and then I'll suit you up.
I'll be in touch once we're in a position where we can truly think about traveling.
Yep. Cool.
Gentlemen, thank you all for being on. Andrew, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Charlie. It's great catching up with you.
Well, it's nice to finally have you on this thing. And
nice to be here.
And response, Charles, it was good seeing you. Gosta, thank you. And I guess
Charlie, Andrew, thank you
nice
very
to meet
much.
you guys.
Huh?
Yeah, nice to meet you, Charles and Gosta.
Yeah, I had met you once at a show, and then I talk to you every once in a while on email ordering tape, but now
perfect.
Now I can put a face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Really, that's the face you want to think about, huh? Okay. All right, gentlemen, thank you. I'm going to be doing this again, I think, in 2 weeks. And Marcy Kinter from Printing United is going to be on. And so she's the head of government affairs and stuff. So if you have questions about any of that type of stuff, she'll certainly be on, besides the fact that she's also in the academy with me. And hopefully it'll be an interesting situation.
Cool. Yeah.
Other than that, Thanks again. Hope you guys have a great week. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too,
Thanks.
Charlie. Thanks, guys. See
Appreciate
you
it.
later.
See you.
Thanks.